He only meant to rent her the guest room. Unexpectedly, she gave the house a heart again. Lucy Harper stood at the end of a long stone walkway, one hand gripping the handle of an old Navy suitcase, the other holding her phone beneath her chin to keep it dry. It was 8:20 p.m., and the rain was coming down like the sky had finally lost patience. The house in front of her was enormous. Not warm enormous, not the kind of house with porch lights and flower pots and the smell of cookies drifting through the windows. It was the kind of enormous that looked as if it had been waiting years for someone to apologize. Only one light glowed upstairs. Lucy looked down at the rental address again. "Okay," she whispered. "Definitely not haunted. Probably." She dragged her suitcase up the steps, rang the bell, and waited. A moment later, the door opened. The man standing there was tall, broad-shouldered, and dressed like he had walked out of a boardroom 10 minutes ago. White shirt, dark trousers, expression carved from stone. He did not smile. He looked at her suitcase, then at her soaked hair, then back at her face. "I have 3 rules," he said. Lucy blinked. "Nice to meet you too. No noise," he continued. "No pets. And—" He paused, as if the last rule mattered most. "Do not try to be friends with me." Rain dripped from the end of Lucy's nose. She glanced past him into the dark, beautiful house. Then she looked back at him and smiled. "I think," she said, "that last one is going to be the hardest." Owen Brooks did not laugh. Lucy would later learn that Owen was 30 years old, the CEO of Brooks & Hale Interiors, and the kind of man whose furniture company designed homes that looked alive while his own house looked like it had forgotten how to breathe. Owen would learn, almost immediately, that Lucy Harper was 26, a freelance illustrator, recently evicted because her landlord had sold the building, and apparently incapable of entering a room without leaving evidence behind. That evidence arrived 3 minutes after she stepped inside. Her suitcase wheel caught on the rug. Her tote bag slipped from her shoulder. A metal tin popped open, and colored pencils rolled across Owen's perfectly polished floor in every direction. Red under the console table, blue near his shoe, yellow spinning all the way toward the staircase. Lucy froze. Owen stared. The silence was so complete that even the rain seemed embarrassed. Lucy slowly lifted one finger. "I have a gift," she said. Owen's eyebrow moved slightly. "For turning any place into a rainbow." Still nothing. "Okay," she whispered. "Tough room." She crouched quickly, gathering pencils as fast as she could, while Owen stood there like a disappointed museum guard. When she reached for the yellow pencil by his shoe, he bent down at the same time. Their hands nearly touched. Lucy pulled back too quickly and bumped her head against the edge of the table. "Ow." "Great. First impression complete." Owen picked up the pencil and handed it to her. "You can use the guest room upstairs. Kitchen is available from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Laundry room is through the back hall. Please keep shared spaces exactly as you found them." "Exactly?" Lucy asked. "Yes." She looked at the immaculate entryway. The umbrella stand was perfectly centered. The framed art was perfectly aligned. Even the throw blanket on the nearby chair looked folded by someone with military training. Lucy nodded solemnly. "So if I find a room emotionally unavailable, I should leave it that way?" Owen opened his mouth, then closed it. He took her suitcase without asking and carried it upstairs. Over the next hour, Lucy discovered 3 things. First, Owen had a place for everything. Second, she had a talent for putting everything somewhere else. Third, the house was painfully quiet. There was no television murmuring from another room, no radio in the kitchen, no scent of dinner, no old family laughter trapped in the walls. Only the steady ticking of a clock somewhere downstairs. And the rain. Lucy tried to be respectful. Truly, she did. But by 10 o'clock she had already placed her mug on the wrong side of the sink, hung her keys on the wrong hook, and folded a hand towel in a way that apparently insulted the entire architectural integrity of the bathroom. Each time, Owen quietly fixed it behind her. She noticed, he noticed, that she noticed. Neither of them said anything. Before bed, Lucy wandered downstairs for a glass of water and saw a pair of double doors at the end of the hall. One was slightly open. Inside was a living room, a grand one, high ceilings, tall windows, white sheets over furniture, dust on the mantel. Family photographs turned slightly toward shadow, and in the corner, beneath a faded cover, stood a piano. Lucy stepped closer. Behind her, Owen's voice cut through the dark. "Don't go in there." She turned. He stood in the hallway, jaw tight, one hand already on the door. "I'm sorry," she said softly. "I didn't mean to." "Don't." He closed the door before she could finish. That night, Lucy could not sleep. Maybe it was the storm. Maybe it was the strange coldness of the house. Or maybe it was the piano behind the closed doors, sitting there like a secret no one had been brave enough to touch. Near midnight, she went downstairs. She told herself she was only looking, but when she found the piano uncovered, her fingers hovered over the keys. Then, very gently, she played. Not loudly, just a soft little melody her grandmother had taught her when she was young. Upstairs, Owen woke at the first note. He sat up in the dark. For a second, he thought he was dreaming. Then the second line of the melody floated through the house, and all the air left his chest. He walked downstairs without turning on the lights. Lucy was sitting at the piano, playing carefully, almost apologetically. Her wet hair from earlier had dried in soft waves around her shoulders. Her face was lit by the faint glow from the hallway. Owen meant to stop her. He meant to remind her of the rules. But he could not move, because that was the song his mother used to play every night before the house went silent. The same song, the same gentle pause before the final notes. Lucy finished and rested her hands in her lap. Only then did she sense him. She turned quickly. "I'm sorry. I know you said not to come in here. Owen reached for the wall. Lucy braced herself for anger. Instead, he turned on the living room light. For the first time in 3 years, the room was no longer dark, and Owen Brooks, the man who had warned her not to make noise, not to bring pets, and not to become his friend, stood silently in the doorway, listening to the echo of a home he thought he had lost forever. Lucy did not try to fix Owen Brooks. That was the strange thing. She did not sit him down and ask him to talk about his feelings. She did not tell him he needed to open up. She did not stare at him with pity, which he would have hated most of all. She simply lived. And somehow, that was much more dangerous. The next morning, Owen came downstairs at exactly 6:30 a.m. and found the kitchen curtains open. Sunlight spilled across the marble counter. A small pot of basil sat beside the sink. A yellow sticky note was attached to the coffee machine. "Coffee is waiting." Owen stared at the note as if it had committed a crime. Lucy appeared behind him in oversized socks, holding a sketchbook against her chest. "Morning. You moved the curtains." "I opened them. They were closed. That's usually how curtains work before someone opens them." He looked at the basil. "And that?" "Basil. I know what it is. Then why did you ask?" Owen removed the sticky note, folded it once, and set it beside the machine. The next day, there was another note. "Good luck with your meeting." The day after that, "Remember to smile. It confuses people." Owen took that one down too. But he did not throw it away. He slipped it into the drawer beside the spoons, where Lucy found it 2 days later and pretended not to notice. The house began changing in small ways. A vase of cheap grocery store flowers appeared on the dining table. Music played softly while Lucy cleaned. The living room curtains opened for the first time in years, though Owen still avoided the piano. A blanket was placed over the back of the sofa, not folded perfectly, not centered, but warm. At first, Owen corrected everything after she touched it. Then slowly, dangerously, he stopped. He left the flowers where they were. He drank the coffee she made. He even used the mug she had placed on the wrong side of the cabinet. Lucy noticed that too. She only smiled into her cereal. Then came the incident with the banana bread. Owen was upstairs on a conference call when the smoke alarm exploded through the house. He ended the call mid-sentence, grabbed the fire extinguisher from the hallway, and ran downstairs so fast one of his shoes nearly came off. In the kitchen, Lucy stood beneath a cloud of smoke, wearing an apron that said "Kiss the Cook," and holding a blackened loaf pan. Her face was guilty. The bread was worse. Owen raised the extinguisher. "Is something on fire?" Lucy coughed once and lifted the pan. "It's just..." She looked at the ruined bread. A little enthusiastic. Owen stared at her. Then at the ceiling. Then at the smoke alarm still screaming above them. "Open the windows," he said. I did. "All of them?" I panicked and opened the pantry. For one brief second, Owen looked like he might actually laugh. He did not. But the corner of his mouth betrayed him. Lucy pointed at it immediately. That was a smile. It was a medical reaction to smoke. Still counts. A week later, she dragged him into something worse. The neighborhood barbecue. According to Lucy, She had accidentally agreed on Owen's behalf. According to Owen, there was nothing accidental about writing his name on a sign-up sheet beside the words Grill Captain. "I did not agree to this," he said, standing in the backyard with a pair of metal tongs in his hand. Lucy handed him a tray of burger patties. "The whole street believes in you. I don't even know these people. That's why this is perfect. New friends." He gave her a look. She grinned. "Fine. New witnesses." By the end of the afternoon, Mrs. Alvarez from next door had called him sweetheart. Mr. Patel had asked him for landscaping advice, and 3 children had voted his burgers not terrible. Lucy considered that a victory. Owen considered moving. But that night, after everyone left, he stood beside Lucy in the backyard, watering the new plants she had insisted on buying. "You know," she said, watching him aim the hose with the seriousness of a surgeon, "most people don't water daisies like they're defusing a bomb. They were expensive. They were $6. Still." She laughed, and this time Owen did not look away. Days became softer after that. They went grocery shopping together because Lucy always forgot the practical things and Owen always forgot the joyful ones. He bought eggs, detergent, and dish soap. She bought cinnamon rolls, sunflowers, and a ridiculous cereal with marshmallows shaped like stars. They ate breakfast across from each other. They cleaned the yard. They argued about whether plants needed names. Lucy named the basil plant Harold. Owen refused to acknowledge Harold's legal status, but he watered him anyway. Then one evening, while Owen was upstairs, Lucy searched the hallway closet for extra towels and found a stack of photo albums. She did not mean to pry, but the top album was open. Inside was a woman with kind eyes sitting at the piano. The same woman appeared in photo after photo, laughing in the garden, holding a birthday cake, standing beside a young Owen, her hand on his shoulder. There were no pictures of his father, not one, only Owen and his mother. And then, suddenly, no more new photos. Lucy was still looking when Owen appeared in the doorway. She closed the album quickly. "I'm sorry, I was looking for towels." His face tightened. For a moment, she thought he would shut down again. Instead, he stepped inside and looked at the photograph in her hand. "My mother," he said. Lucy nodded gently. She had a beautiful smile. She smiled at everyone. His voice was quiet. Even people who didn't deserve it. He took the album from her, but not angrily. Then he walked toward the living room. Lucy followed. This time, he did not tell her to stay out. He opened the double doors. The room waited in front of them, half restored by sunlight and half trapped in memory. The piano stood in the corner. A framed photograph rested on top of it. Beside the window was an old armchair with faded blue fabric. Owen looked at the chair for a long time. "That was hers," he said. Lucy did not speak. She used to sit there every morning with tea. She'd watch the street like something wonderful might happen if she waited long enough. He touched the back of the chair. "She used to say a house doesn't have to be big." His throat moved. "It just needs someone waiting for you to come home." Lucy's eyes softened. For the first time since she had arrived, Owen was not correcting her, not resisting her, not hiding behind rules. He was remembering. And in that quiet room, beside the piano his mother had loved, Owen Brooks finally told Lucy about the woman who had once made the house feel alive. Owen did not notice the change at first. It happened in small betrayals. A meeting ran late, and instead of staying another hour, he checked his watch 3 times in 10 minutes. A client dinner was offered, and he declined before his assistant finished the sentence. One evening, he caught himself shutting his laptop at 5:42 p.m., even though there were emails unanswered and contracts waiting for review. For 3 years, work had been the safest room in his life. At the office, no one asked why he did not decorate for Christmas. No one asked why he ate at his desk. No one played old songs on a piano and made the past feel close enough to touch. But now, every time the sun dipped behind the city skyline, Owen found himself thinking of the house. Not because it was quiet, because it wasn't. Lucy had filled it with pencil shavings, half-finished sketches, terrible baking experiments, and songs she hummed without realizing she was humming them. She left sticky notes on the refrigerator. She forgot paintbrushes in coffee mugs. She talked